Welcome again to Birdeye View 2025, and thank you for joining this session. My name is Ruchika Batra, and I head the content marketing team at Birdeye. At this year's summit, we are exploring a powerful shift from tools to outcomes. AI agents trained on your brand, your industry, and your goals are no longer just automating tasks. They are driving real, measurable results. In this session, we look at what the transformation looks like in practice. I'm joined today by Melissa Cameron, CMO of National Storage Affiliates, who brings over 25 years of experience in digital marketing, from early e-commerce and persona design to customer experience at scale across more than 1,000 storage locations. Together, we'll explore the idea of agentic AI that not only answers a question, but also takes the next best action, from routing workflows to refining tone to triggering the real business outcomes. But more importantly, we'll talk about when and why to start with AI. Not just because AI is shiny, but because there's a clear opportunity to address. Welcome, Melissa, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Okay, let's start from the very beginning. You've been in the digital world since 1999. Curious to know what drew you to digital marketing originally, and how has that approach evolved?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was doing a full-time digital marketing role while I was getting my university degree, my undergraduate degree in marketing, and didn't really know I was going to find the love of my career and just kind of take off at an early age. And I'm grateful for that. But I entered during the dot-com boom. It was the end of the 90s. And honestly, there were no courses, there were no exceptional books out there. It was very much self-taught, and it was give it to the intern to figure out. A lot of trial and error and best guesses, quite frankly, which was very exciting. And that I have an entrepreneurial spirit, so it was very much in alignment with, where my strengths. My core belief in general, as I think about the evolution, is every click and interaction is a person. I've always been fascinated by people having different concerns, problems they're trying to solve, how they approach their shopping process differently. And even more so, as I took it from a business standpoint, is we need to match how the customers want to shop. We should not be forcing them into our sales process. And as you think about that from technology, digital experiences, there's just so much that we can take from that baseline art process of thinking about people and personas and thinking about their journeys. And that was before, analytics became mainstream, of course, or any of these really kind of elevated technology opportunities to mix in with the art. The science wasn't there yet. So I'm kind of grateful that I entered when I did, so I could start with the art. I could start with the understanding of people and customer journeys and the importance of that. And then obviously, once these tools became available, I was really excited about it. First adopter in many cases through the decades now. And blending that art and science was really where things took off in my mind, of the potential value these things could bring to businesses and drive performance and help customer experiences. There's just so many better tools out there. It's much more of a data-driven approach now, I would say, to driving performance. However, I still keep that persona mindset at the center. I think as we think about the evolution of technology in general, as it blends with what I'm talking about, it always starts with the why, right? Tech's only as valuable as the problem it's solving. So why? What are those gaps? What are those opportunities? And again, it goes back to the beginning of that art of who are the people.
That's such a great way to look at it. You've been in self-storage industry for quite some time now. As a marketer myself, I know even though the overarching marketing principles remain the same, each industry has its own nuances. My question to you is, what is that one surprising fact about the self-storage renter journey that most marketers would overlook?
Sure. And again, I'm going to go back to the people, because it starts there in my mind. It's the foundation of everything. And really, what's probably surprising, it's not just four walls and a roll-up door and we're just trying to sell storage, right? It's
Mhm.
people have emotional ties to why they're needing it in the first place. So the emotional aspects of the life transitions that they're going through, there's loss of family, there's divorce, there's moving, and moving can be hard, like downsizing, changes in family dynamics, or it could be exciting, like new beginnings. And I think the idea in general is that whatever we're doing, whatever the experiences we're building, the tone, the branding, everything, it matters to have a tone of empathy for hard moments and
Mhm.
enthusiasm for the positive ones, right? So I think maybe it's not the a really exciting industry in terms of fabulous shiny products. However, it goes back to the people and the sentiment to begin with. And what I love about the partnership with Birdeye, and I've been using Birdeye for years at a couple different companies I've been at now, and I love Birdeye's core products in terms of especially the evolution of it around being able to analyze sentiment, to be able to analyze all of those AI insights that come out of all the reviews, all of my survey responses, and really escalate gaps and opportunities we can solve. And also, how do we need to be shifting or dynamically approaching in our chatbots, in our voice AI to really speak to people with empathy or enthusiasm, right? Depending on the situation. And I think in general, just sometimes this is using AI to help understand or improve the customer journey
Mhm.
and where it will help impact trust and customer experience the most, right? That's the opportunity is the insights as well as actually implementing the AI to influence those experiences.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think you mentioned empathy. That's such a strong piece to this entire story, and which makes it very different from some of the other industries where benefit is usually kind of talked about more. This is empathy. This is a really a, a place where more of sentiment is involved. So thanks for sharing this, Melissa.
Yeah, it is more of a needs-based product, right? But if you
Mhm.
simplify it that way, then you lose so much edge in terms of the experience you can be building and that brand you could be building. So, and honestly, there probably are other industries that might seem bland. That's probably a good explanation for it. And yet, if you kind of peel back the layers of the onion, there's a lot more to it and getting to the essence of who the customer is, what their needs are, what problems they're trying to solve. That's the key of then taking advantage of the technologies and the optimization approaches that we have out there to affect the customer journey in a positive way.
True, true, true. Okay, you started with digital marketing, and I mean, we are still doing digital marketing, and you've had a range of experience along the way. What pivotal experiences would you say have shaped your leadership approach at NSA?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's a lot of facets to it, right? At this point, as CMO, I'm over all of customer acquisition. So it's call center, marketing, branding, software engineering, because we have a lot of product, a lot of technology to do all of these things now, right? So it's evolved over time, quite frankly, through the years, through growing into leadership roles and continuing to evolve with technology. So, for instance, right now we have over 1,000 locations across 7 brands throughout the nation, and we don't have a massive team. So, and I think that's the key here is, we don't have one employee for every store, for instance. Scale matters when you're growing to that size, right? So it's about empowering, encouraging our employees to educate themselves, to help educate them, look for opportunities to leverage tools in order to close performance or customer journey gaps, right? In general, I think it's empowerment of those employees. And I'd say through the years, it's realizing that our employees can do a lot and they can do a lot with these tools. And we need to give them, empower them, challenge them, push them, educate them to do that. And so I've leaned heavily into that. My employees know that people matter to me, not just from a customer standpoint, which I talk a lot about,
Mm.
employees as well, right? And getting to the bottom of that. So there's a whole other area of leadership that I could speak about regarding that. But in terms of just, how it's shifted, especially in the past few years and how the team is using some of these things, we went, if you remember the evolution of when automation became the hot topic, right? It was, we can do things faster, more efficiently. Where are those repetitive tasks that we can automate? Well, now it's, not just AI in terms of intelligence and being smarter to drive ROI. Now it's actually leaning on some of that automation to actually agentic AI and taking actions, across key levers. And so as I think about my evolution in this leadership journey, it's definitely being first adopter, being proactive, and not just for the shiny tool reason, like you mentioned earlier. It's for the purpose of solving problems. And whether that's customer friction or whether that's improving performance through further intelligence and modeling, as well as workflows, quite frankly, right? My team, and on the marketing side with creative imagery, content, we use it as inspiration. We're very careful on how we use it, of course, but it can, streamline workflows so effectively as well that now my team can focus more on strategy and being creative in their mindset and the approach that they're taking, relying on tools like this. So it's been quite the fun ride to see how that's evolved. And I think it's just important as a leader to evolve with it and know what value it could, these technologies can bring to the table and how to blend the human side of leadership with leveraging the right technology.
Yeah, I can so relate to this. Okay, so when we met before, you mentioned reducing 12 consumer brands to seven. Um, how has that helped to improve SEO and customer clarity? I know it's a little bit of a digression, but I've been curious about it ever since we spoke about it.
Yeah, sure. And I think, it's not completely off the subject because the truth is it's still getting outside the box, thinking holistically, thinking strategically of how to help drive the business. And that's not just how to improve ROI or leverage technologies for that, but it's improving customer experience. There's so many aspects. So I think it's just a good example of, again, stepping outside. I like this phrase of it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. It's so important to get outside the bottle and see what those opportunities for the business are. In our case, we were built on the structure of 12 different brands with 12 different companies that basically were brought together to become the publicly traded national storage affiliates over the years and for over a decade, right? And with that, it came with, and that's what I inherited, and it came with some concerns or issues or lack of efficiency, quite frankly, in scale, because although there was really strong branding in some of these markets, there were also some crossover brands in markets. And so when you think about digital marketing in particular, you want to gain authority in the search engine rankings, right? Both local, because we're a location-based business, local, organic ranking, and even streamlining our ad accounts. When we had 12 websites for 12 brands, we had 12 different ad accounts. You can imagine just how difficult, when I was talking before about my NSA leadership and being able to scale and be efficient and, have a lean team, that's next to impossible when you're dealing with that situation. So we just saw, taking a step back, we saw an opportunity to really start to consolidate brands within certain markets. And it was really for the purpose of obviously brand clarity, brand awareness and structure, in general. But it was more so even to help with the brand authority so we could compete more effectively in certain markets, so we could get that organic ranking in a better spot in our local ranking. So that's really, we've seen huge benefits of consolidation. And actually there are plans, and it's known out there, that we're going to go down to 5 brands within the next, year or so. So that's just going to help further. We don't envision ever going to a single brand, and it could happen one day, but not in the short term. And the reason is there are some of these localized community brands that have really strong brand awareness, really strong search engine authority. And so, and a good example is one of our brands is Northwest Self Storage. It's in the Northwest of the United States, and it has a really strong brand presence and authority. So there would be no reason to change it up, right? And so we're focused on those things. The ad account thing too, just to know, we had to make a decision. We had all these different websites, different ad accounts. We actually decided to consolidate into one website, nsastorage.com, where all of our brands live. And it is a cross-brand shopping experience. And it's more about people shop for storage based on location and price for the most part. And then, of course, the experience on property once they're there. But so that was kind of the key, is making sure that we created that seamless experience on the website where people could shop across brands, across stores based on those factors. So again, us meeting customers where they want to be met, while we actually benefited tremendously as well. I bet you could imagine our paid acquisition team was very pleased that they didn't have to manage 12 different ad accounts anymore, that it's one. And it gives us so much scale, so much opportunity. The economies of scale is really there. The other thing I just wanted to mention is, we use tools like Birdeye, for instance, to really understand the consumer branding, the reputation, what's being said about things in certain markets, certain brands, certain stores, certain operations divisions, all of that. And so leveraging these tools that Birdeye gives us for these things helps us to identify gaps, identify opportunities to fix things down to the store level even, right? If there's customer service issues, there's maintenance issues, there's, frustration around pricing, whatever it is, those insights are now coming in and we're able to optimize, and it gives insights around brand as well, which is huge for us.
Right. I mean, I can see how optimization kind of works, or consolidation works. Sorry. We've seen it in our organization as well. It's okay to go granular and provide at a at almost a customer level, but then when you consolidate, you are able to look at it in a more holistic way and take actions that are more beneficial for the company.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Now, I see that you started with reviews and inbox automation at the onset and then moved on to a full AI deployment. So curious to know, why did you take this specific approach?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I like to use the term crawl, walk, run, right? And so in everything we do, quite frankly, I don't want us to ever feel paralyzed that we need to be, I always also say perfect is the enemy of the good. So start somewhere, right? It's key to stay on top of technology, but just as you mentioned before, don't use the technology for the sake of using it. Identify the opportunity or the value, and then you pilot it. You review, the outcomes, and and then kind of pivot from there. So yes, we started small. We started with more of the inbox and review automation that Birdeye had, and honestly, that was years ago that those things were introduced, and we were first adopters to those things as well. And we knew there would be value to that. There would be, potentially efficiency. We did see initial pilot results from that of like faster response times to our customers' reviews. We were able to handle getting more reviews in the way we've leveraged, the automated sends and all of that for review requests. We saw higher satisfaction overall in closing the loop more easily because of the way these tools worked. And then obviously as technology evolved and us being kind of the first adopter type of company and our spirit, once Birdeye started to introduce things like the AI insights or competitor insights with AI, it helps to identify those gaps even to a different level, at a more granular level, and really to be more actionable, right? Because if you're getting 1,000 reviews and you're having to go through them manually, even though there's automation to respond to them, what insights are you gathering from those things, let alone responding, leveraging AI, which is a huge benefit too, of course. to be more dynamic, to be more personalized to that situation, right? And then another example, outside of Birdeye, just we've had a lot of great success from in the past. Kind of the evolution of the technology was we used to have very strategic call routing. We still do, based on certain marketing numbers, based on, the key prompts, very different dynamic IVRs of where they would be sent. But we saw an opportunity where our stores, because storage properties, there's usually only like 1 or 2 employees at a storage property. It's hard for them to juggle all the things that they have on their plate, from cleaning units out to answering calls to walking somebody at a property. So our answer rate of those phone calls that were leading to the store, they weren't great. The answer rate wasn't great. I'm not going to give the specific number, but I'll just say there was opportunity. Okay. And we saw it. We knew it in the data. We analyzed data regularly. And so we saw an opportunity to introduce and test out voice AI. And so we have one, her name is Alexis, and she's our chatbot. It's the same knowledge base and structure of the technology that's been built. And it has been wild to see the results of that. Like, she handles 20% of our calls now, and we only launched her in May, and very focused on service calls. Well, there's always things you don't even realize that are going to come out of that, right? Of course, answer rate improved, but our call center also saw a drop in service calls slightly because of her. And so they were able to handle more sales calls, focus on conversion rate of those sales calls, help drive performance. So I think it's really important, as you kind of go through the evolution of these technologies and you look at the results, is be very open. There's going to be certain goals that you have that you're going to be measuring, and then there's going to be the unknown ones that should bubble themselves up. So be curious, be a detective, keep looking for those takeaways, and then it'll evolve from there.
That's so true. Okay. You mentioned before that NSA is a publicly traded company. Being a publicly traded company comes with its own share of rules and legalities. How did compliance shape your AI rollout strategy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And one, of course, we have risk committees, and we have governance processes, and there's already PII thing, we have DPAs with different vendors. All of these things are already rolled out, and we're pretty much, first to adopt these things. However, when you start, we've had AI models around pricing, revenue management, as well as paid marketing models for years. However, there's so much human oversight, and that's really more the intelligence to optimize ROI. It's a whole different thing when you start getting into agentic AI, right? And where the AI is taking action, not just answering questions or automation, right? But it's actually going and taking actions. It is critical. And we saw this early. Luckily, it didn't go off the rails, but the voice AI, we did start seeing that she had some capabilities we didn't even realize that she had, like adding account notes about particular call outcomes and stuff like that. And so it was nothing dangerous, of course, but naturally you start to see and we have a lot of human oversight on these things. So we're watching and listening daily, multiple hours a day right now. And honestly, I don't see that going away. There will always be that need for human oversight. And it led to us realizing, oh, wow, she can do this, she can do that. Okay. Brought it to the risk committee, and I'm like, we got to have kind of a subcommittee around governance, AI governance and compliance, and make sure we have the right policies, because obviously voice AI is just one piece of this, but we have AI doing pricing and paid marketing models. We're using AI in our workflows in various departments. So pretty quickly, we've pulled together a kind of cross-functional, cross-department AI committee, legal, risk, IT, marketing. There's multiple players, key leaders in that space, and we're building these things out together and making sure we're checking boxes early, both from the things that we've built as well as, your vendor diligence, right? Holding vendors accountable to these things. And I think it's important, we're documenting everything. We're documenting the guardrails. We're documenting how the human in the loop checks work. We have to ensure accountability And honestly, we're even when we do notice some things in terms of, oh, we didn't realize she could do this, we
Hmm.
document either a fix, change, or just the fact that she can do something. We document that by the date, any iterations that are made, etc. So it's just, you really need, if you're going to jump into this, which I recommend you jump into it, everyone, at least start small and build out from there. But
Hmm.
no, you need to start with governance alongside and parallel. Don't wait on that.
Right, right. I think the human oversight is never going to go away, and it better not go away for the for everything to be moving in a same direction. So, okay, now you've been using Birdeye for a while now. So, which Birdeye alerts or insights drive the fastest response at NSA?
Well, we have, automated kind of, we send out obviously the review requests. We do the automated follow-up for the kind of the low severity reviews, and we do manual escalations for the high risk. Of course, we still leverage all of the tool set within Birdeye, even for the negative higher risk reviews. However, we're able to personalize those. So great templates, great capability, great initial responses that we can manipulate. And then, of course, closing the loop. So those negative or high risk situations, of course, are important to escalate. For instance, if it's a particular store and there's a maintenance issue, a gate's broken, or there's a customer service complaint at that particular store, making sure that we bring it through our operations partners, we close the loop, and then we've created all of these dashboards from APIs, so we have data
Hmm.
in those dashboards. And the point is, this is an ongoing optimization situation. We should always be looking for those things, always be taking action on them, leveraging the tool set that Birdeye has as much as we can, and then also taking the responsibility on our side to close that loop, take action, close the loop, get back with the customer. And that's how customer satisfaction scores go up and all of that. We do the move in and move out surveys also, like when somebody moves into a storage unit, we survey them, not just to get a review, we do review requests separately, but it's so that we understand who our customers are, what their motivations are, why are they using storage, how their experience has been thus far. So we have a CSAT score, all of that. We do the same at move out. So we have a benchmark on both. And those are really important. There's so many insights that come out of these things overall. And that's why I love the Birdeye tool set that you have now with all of the AI capabilities, because it's just taking it to a whole other level of how we can serve our customers. It also, honestly, I know this is a little bit off topic, but there's also things like the competitor insights. It helps me not only understand how we are positioned in a market and how we might compare to our competitors, but it might also give us some indication of, are there markets where we should maybe sell properties? Are there markets where maybe we should expand and buy more properties and grow in markets? There's a lot of things that can come out of this beyond just improved customer experience and improved performance.
Hmm. 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 Okay, so it is one thing to deploy AI within the business and another to see teams and customers accept it and notice the changes. How have your customers and your team responded to AI-led improvements?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to suggest that every single AI interaction has been a warm response, but I will say it is incredible to see how quickly these things can evolve, especially if you have the proper oversight, the proper strategy, and an approach, right? Because I like to say this. It's a funny thing when you hear, I listen to voice AI calls a lot just to have, I need to be in the weeds with my team and understand what's going on and help drive strategy. But I love these examples of where you hear, the voice AI says, thank you so much. Anything else I can help you with? And they say, no, well, have a great day. And then the customer responds, you have a great day as well to our AI. So we are seeing great customer satisfaction scores. We're seeing warm responses. There's, of course, the group of people that say, speak to a person, and that's normal. But Birdeye AI tools also help us, again, with kind of that balance of speed and empathy, right? In the way that we respond. We can still control the brand messaging, the tone, all of this. And that's critical in whatever we do with whatever partners we use and tools we use. So we can control some of that. And the good news is people are starting to, you can see it in the customer responses and their reactions. They're receiving it well. Taking a little shift over to the team side of things, of course, I think naturally it's the topic of the town is, will this replace people?
Yes.
And I think there's fear out there, and I get it. I understand that. And at the same time, being in the middle of it, where we're literally executing these things and leveraging it for so many different types of workflows and customer journeys, et cetera. Our team knows that they're encouraged to use AI when it provides value to their workflows or it improves performance for the organization, or like when it reduces friction in the customer experience, and they are welcoming it. They know, and it's based on our culture and how we're building it. And I think this is an important fact of when you're adopting these things or you're talking about them with your team members, making it really clear and transparent. It's not replacing jobs. Those who use the tools and are using them effectively are the ones that are actually the ones moving forward. So I think it's more about empowerment, education, share learnings. The more you share from the early adopters in your team that are using it, it reduces fear. People start to be inspired by what it can do for them, what it can do for the company overall. So yes, it can be a hot topic or a scary topic, but I think it's about how you navigate it with your team members. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that.
Wonderful. Now, talking a little bit about your people and teams, how has AI changed how you hire and train your teams?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously, there's AI tools out there in terms of when resumes come in and it does the first glance and all of that. That's more in our people operations department, and so they're leveraging tools, of course, in that essence. But when it comes to me, when I'm thinking about what I'm looking for and interviewing, and when I look at resumes, right, I will say there has been a shift, especially growing up in digital marketing, and because there were so many people like myself that yes, I got a degree, but my degree wasn't in digital marketing because there was no such thing back then. So, the key is there's so many people out there that are worth looking at that have tremendous experience and they have the curiosity and they have the AI kind of fluency and even tech fluency in general. So I would say, yes, degrees matter to me only to show really the capability of doing hard things, the work ethic aspects of things. But I don't look at the school that they went to, and I get it. There's, different roles, right? Engineers or accountants, maybe they'll look at it differently. But in my world, it's more around, do they have that entrepreneurial spirit? Do they have that curiosity? Do they have that tech fluency? And I'll say it's interesting to see kind of the next generations coming up, like the new grads, our interns that were here this summer, for instance. And it's just wild that this is part of their day-to-day. They already adopted a lot of these tools in their current workflows and how they're very well versed, and that's incredible. Now, I also have the folks that have been with me for a long time that are just those curious people, the kind of earlier adopters, and I encourage them to do show and tells and share successes across the team. We've had many, whether it's like elevating the way that we report on things, not just the voice AI stuff. That's huge, huge wins. But the way we report on things, our insights, the way that we use it to draft creative, all of these things. And again, I'm just going to bring it full circle. AI augments people. It doesn't replace them. And I think it's important to keep that in mind as you're going to hire and, you're looking at potentially training your team as well.
Right. I mean, as you were speaking, I was like, yeah, I do that. So bag on. Okay. Now, looking ahead at 2026, what's next in agentic AI? What AI capabilities excite you the most as you plan ahead?
It's hard to know all the things, but I get very excited, when I go to different conferences or I read certain things out there in terms of just the evolution of what's coming. For me in particular, it's right now I'm very excited about just the evolution of search engines. AI powered search. We already see these answers that are coming out, etc. But the word on the street, the conferences I've been to, the things I've read, there's just so much more coming that actually is out now, as well as what's coming next. When I say next, quickly, right? These things are evolving at a whole different pace than the previous technology that we would have been used to since the late 90s. So particularly, I'll call out kind of this blending of the worlds of paid and organic, because obviously growing up in digital, it was very organic focused initially. And then I saw that evolution to focus more on a pay to play. And now it's more of like a conversational commerce type of approach, is what I would call it. And so content might be king again in a different way, right? So we're really preparing for structured content for that future of what the search engine results are going to be, because let's just say the search engines know they'll be left behind if they don't kind of step it up, because people are using ChatGPT, et cetera, as a search engine. However, I will say these other companies they're very aware, and they're coming out with really exciting evolution. But it's going to be, and honestly, it gives smaller companies the ability to kind of stack up against competitors too, if they do this really well, if they build that content that's going to be really valuable. So I'm excited about it. There's going to be kind of the future is like deeper agentic workflows, in different arenas, both in how our employees work, and the way that they can leverage it, but also the actions these agents can do for us as well, and just the efficiencies gained, the performance benefits, all of that. So I'm excited. I'm talking a lot about search right now, but there's so many aspects of like agentification that are going to help across the entire organization. Even just to bring up one thing here is it's not just in my world, right? Not just in customer acquisitions. These agentic workflows are going to help our accounting teams, are going to help our acquisitions team, all sorts of departments with everything that they do. So it's exciting to be kind of in it right now. It's an exciting time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this has been an amazing discussion. I have my final question for you. As you look ahead, what advice would you give to other CMOs who are just about starting this journey?
Yeah, you start small, but start now. I would just say every day you wait, your competitors' AI gets smarter, or the way they're using it. And I'm not saying you're going to hit it out of the ballpark right out of the gate, but you need to start small. You need to find, one high impact workflow. For instance, reviews, right? If you're using Birdeye reviews and leveraging AI responses or AI insights, really identify what that high impact workflow would be. And again, that's either walking through the customer journey or walking through your business processes. What are those gaps? What are those opportunities? Where do you think it could have a high impact? And then you pilot it, right? Come up with your test. For instance, when we rolled out the voice AI, we didn't just roll it out. We decided, okay, we know stores are missing calls between this time and this time in the morning. Mostly, we saw an elevated amount of missed calls. So clearly, when we went to go do it, we did it for service store calls for this particular time. That was our pilot. And then based on the execution and the results of that, we were able to expand to the next time and expand beyond that into different queues, all of that. So, you want to find the pilot, you want to find the high impact workflow, you want to measure those quick wins, prove the value, and then iterate and move to the next gap or opportunity. It really starts with listening, right? And I'm going full circle to the beginning of when we started to talk. It's about the people. So walk through your employee journeys, your customer journeys, listen, focus on where your biggest impact opportunities are. Those are going to be your winners, your early wins. And then it will just, those are great showcase opportunities as well, with the show and tells I talked about, with team education. And then you take it to the next level, and it just compounds so quickly. The growth of our voice AI from May until now, wild how much it's grown and what it can do. Last point there, it's last but not least, make sure you're doing that governance, building the governance and making sure you're complying and that you've got your ducks in a row, that your AI is not just going Wild West on you. Make sure you're doing that in parallel.
Right. Just go for it, but make sure you have the compliance in place. Keep testing, and then deploy.
Be responsible, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa, for such a thoughtful and practical conversation. As we've seen today, agentic AI isn't about automating everything. It's about enabling smart action. At NSA, that journey started with reviews, responses, and now spans multi-brand insights, call handling, and even compliance-ready governance. This is exactly what View 2025 is all about, moving from managing software to activating AI agents that work for you, delivering presence, precision, and performance. I encourage our viewers today to explore the AI agents available at our event hub, whether it's review response, listing optimization, or reporting. Pick one workflow to pilot this quarter and start turning AI into outcomes. Thanks again for joining us.